Shadowland. They've got fire, they've got style, they make chaos look worthwhile. Partners in crime, heartbeats aligned, together they're one of a kind. They're the couple that slays together, storming the world, it's now or never. Back to back, through thick and thin, in the game of life they always win. Blazing trails, leaving legends behind. Love so fierce, it's one of a kind. We're the couple that slays together. Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Couple That Slays Together. I'm Katie.
Hey, and I'm Brandon. Well, hey, Katie, how you doing?
I'm all right. We have a whole bunch of horror movies coming out in January and February this year.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of work that we've done already.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yep.
But it's fun work
Yes.
because we love horror.
And really, fun work is all I have right now. So,
So if you're hiring,
yeah. Or if you want to just, pay me to sit on my butt and edit. No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't me asking for money, I swear. But, Katie, we did vampires a couple episodes ago. So I'm going to ask you now, what time period would you rather live in?
well, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
So if I was still born a woman in earlier time periods, I wouldn't be able to vote, own land, have a credit card, possibly have a job.
Better times. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just a joke.
I don't know. It's one of those, like, if I were to live in another time, I'd want to be like royalty.
Yep.
And just like completely just feel like servants do. But then you don't want to be that person that's like servants do either.
Yeah.
But you don't want to, I don't know. I love period pieces. I'm a huge Outlander fan. I love the Tudors. I want him to watch The Great with Fanning. Fanning. I do like that, but when you get down to it, realistically, this is probably the best age to live in when you're a woman.
Yeah.
So, long story short, none of them.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to wear a corset all day. I wouldn't want my, the women caught on fire trying to cook because they had to wear so many layers. And
You wouldn't want to live in like the Queen Charlotte era where you're being
like
presented
the
as a
Regency era.
you're being presented as this year's diamond.
If I were one of those ladies, then maybe, because you'd have somebody else doing your hair and helping you with your dress and all that. But I think you still, as a woman, wouldn't have any kind of freedom.
Yeah.
Not to be a wah to be telling her about.
Yeah.
But what about you? You being a white male would have a lot more options.
And straight.
And straight.
No, I shouldn't say that. I was referring back to T.J. Miller's
Yes.
The Office Christmas party where he's like, I'm rich and white and straight, except for that one time. No, but I would probably go.
Only for Mike Davis.
I would probably go. Gosh, where would I go? I might go back to. I'm gonna go back to the 70s, man, because like that's when like all like the really amazing classic rock was, and it would just be really cool to experience that for the first time.
Okay.
So, let me hit you with I'll hit you with my improv too this time. Would you rather?
Okay.
I'll have you read one from the book, but I've got one for you. So,
Okay.
would you rather have the ability to go back into time to see what time was like? There would be no prejudice against you, anything like that. Would you rather be able to go back to different time periods to see what came before, or get pushed ahead in the future and not knowing what is happening, go to like say the year 3000?
But I'd have the ability to come back.
Sure.
Definitely the future.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting to see. So if you've seen, there was a movie, obviously The Time Machine, but we also read The Time Machine by I think it's H.G. Wells, in high school. And he imagined that eventually, there's, the fall of technology and all that, like you see in the Terminator and everything. But, and then there's like the different clans of like who lives above the caves and in the caves. But then the time traveler goes even further and the entire world is inhabited by huge crabs. Like humans are gone.
Crab people.
People. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would rather do. What about you?
Um, I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool to explore the past. Get answers. I feel like it'd be interesting to be able to go back to wherever I want to go and then come back.
But they say you don't ever meet your idols.
Yeah.
Like the truth is probably it's like a wah.
Maybe.
And if you learned anything from Outlander, you can't change fate.
Yeah. Well, depending on the kind of timeline it is.
Yeah.
Because, if we go Terminator timeline, they didn't necessarily stop the coming apocalypse. They just postponed it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, but
it still finds a way.
Yeah.
Nature finds a way.
Yep. Hit me with a.
All right. So this is our Would You Rather by Sophia Rivers, found on Amazon. And hopefully I'm going to pick something we haven't done before. Would you rather tread upon a precarious, dilapidated bridge strung over a giant ravine to escape a fearsome entity hunting you down, or scale an incredibly steep, rocky mountain with no safety equipment to flee from the relentless, bloodthirsty pursuit of a savage beast?
I'll go the first one just because I don't really have a fear of heights.
Yeah.
How about you?
I have a tremendous fear of heights, but I would still probably do the first one.
Yeah.
Because it's a dilapidated bridge. It's precarious, but I don't know. It seems safer than an incredibly steep, rocky mountain with no safety equipment.
Yeah.
As I know me, I trip over everything.
Yeah.
I would definitely pull a Jack and Jill.
Probably.
Yeah. All right.
What movie are we watching today? Or what are we reviewing today?
So today we're going to be reviewing the new Dracula from 2026.
Yes, this is now the 892nd Dracula movie that's out. But no,
And they're all origin
right. Well, Dracula 2000. There's 3 of those. I've only seen the first, but that one didn't hold up. We tried watching that probably a year or 2 ago, and it just. But
yeah.
This movie, we got to see this early. We were going to try to get a review out before the actual movie was out, but we couldn't, just time and life. But
the AMC Screen Unseen.
Yep, AMC Screen Unseen. Actually, they labeled this one as AMC Scream Unseen. So we went hoping that it was going to be Scream 7, but it was still Dracula. But the 16th might still be Scream. We're hoping, but yeah. So but basically, we got to see this early, the Monday before it came out. It was cool to be able to do that. We don't get a lot of advanced screenings and stuff, and so it was fun to be able to see it before a lot of other people.
There was a little bit of confusion in our friend group because the only thing they give you is the duration, the runtime, and with Dracula, it was like a 5 or 7 minute difference.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe we were getting something else, but it ended up being Dracula.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. At first I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And the one on the 16th, that's only a 4-minute difference from the runtime for Scream 7. So
we'll see.
But
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So for our horror subgenre on this one, I've got down that it's another monster movie. Obviously this is based off of a Universal monster. This is definitely a very much a drama, vampire movie, obviously with it being Dracula. I said that this is a period piece and it's a romance. How about you?
I had the exact same ones. The only one that I was kind of, because we have ghost, but we also have paranormal.
Yeah.
It is a little bit on the paranormal.
I got to get you an updated one because I separated them.
Oh, you did? Well, I have it separated, but I'm just, yes, paranormal can incorporate ghosts, but paranormal can also be like, and then you also have like possession, but it's not demonic, but like Dracula at one point in the film can like control the masses by using like perfume.
Yeah.
So that was the only other one that I had.
Yeah. This film was written and directed by Luc Besson. And our cast for this film, Caleb Landry Jones as Vlad Dracula. Or he went by Vlad and then the Count Dracula, is what you would say. We had Christopher Waltz as the priest, which might as well have been fucking Van Helsing. Right. We had Zoe Bu as both Elizabeth in the past and then Mina in the future. Well, I should say future, 400 years later. Edwin's Abid as Jonathan. Matilda de Angelis as Maria. And Guillaume de Tonquedec as Dumont.
Say that again?
No. Our short plot summary for this film: when a 15th century prince denounces God after the loss of his wife, he inherits an internal curse. He becomes Dracula. Condemned to wander for centuries, he defies fate and death, guided by a single hope: to be reunited with his lost love. Now, this is based off of the original Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, or whatever,
It's supposedly a very close adaptation compared to others.
Yep. And so, this also, what they do is they really focus hardcore on Dracula's love interest, like the love for, his love story with Elizabeth. There's not it's very different from like the Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Universal Monsters version, where he does not succeed in taking her as his lover, or his wife or whatever. But apparently we haven't talked about this outside of here, but apparently this is very much a reboot of the 1992 Dracula film with Winona Ryder.
I have not seen that.
I have not either.
So
that's what I've been told, or that's what I've read. I don't know if that's the truth or how close it is.
Yeah.
If you in the comments want to comment if it's exactly the same or not, whatever, let us know. Right off the bat, I had some kind of notes as I was watching this. We both agreed, and we both whispered to each other in the theater that Dracula looks like the actor who plays Bonnet in Outlander. Sweats a lot. Do you notice that? Like when he was still human, dude was a hot, sweaty mess, man.
Well, he was wearing all the chain link armor and all that,
and the helmet,
and then he went to war.
Yeah, but I think
battle.
Yeah. So, but a lot of times they'll try to, prevent someone from looking like that. And there was a shot where I saw him standing there with his soldiers, and I mean, he's just like, they're all like, they look fine, they're good. He is just a sweaty mess.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny.
That initial scene when he's still human, and it basically, the premise is like he's at home and happy with his wife, which is weird to see them pillow fighting, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's obvious they're in love and physically in love and all of that.
Yeah.
And they kind of interrupt, he and his wife, and forcibly take him off to battle.
Yeah.
But I did think that the battle was a really cool battle.
Yeah.
The fire was really good. And if you know the true history of Count Dracula, that he beheaded Christians and put their heads on spikes, and he literally made them into human lamps for his garden.
Yeah.
That the scene of his victorious group of men and himself on the hillside, and they all each have like a speared head, is very much an Easter egg to that true history.
Yeah, that was actually the next thing I wanted to say too, was that battle. First of all, the aesthetics of everything, like the castle and the battle both.
Yeah.
The aesthetics of the castle, very, gothic, but it was still a castle at this point. It was still it was medieval, but it was a beautiful castle.
It wasn't in ruins, right?
But they really took their time with it, I'm talking before he becomes Dracula, it's really beautiful. And then the field where they have this battle, you could see the opposing soldiers, to Dracula's side. They're coming at them, they're rushing at them.
I believe that it's supposed to be like the Crusades, because it's about fighting in God's name and taking out the Muslims and everything. So it's set as if this is the Crusades, and the church just kind of thrusts this upon the monarch.
Yep.
The royal class there to fight in the honor of the church.
Yeah. But that, honestly, this battle was I was so impressed by it. I mean,
Yeah.
what she was saying, the fire, they had dumped over these, basically they made a ring of fire.
Barrel or,
Yeah,
like,
this barrel. And they made this ring of fire around themselves and they lit it right as the dudes were coming to where they couldn't stop. And so when they,
It's a literal wall of fire.
right. And so they just were running into this wall of fire, and horses, and, the guys were dying. And it was like, holy shit, this is crazy. I've never seen this in a battle in a movie before.
Mhm.
And then, they're running. So basically Dracula has to save the princess because they've kidnapped her, whatever, the woman that he's betrothed to be married.
Mhm.
And, they've got her in the middle of the field, and he's rushing to save her. And brilliant.
Yes.
Again, sad to see the horses, but brilliant warfare. They had bear traps all through this field, like literally like landmines, to where the horses would just, and then like it would take them down, And I thought that was so, as sad as it was to see animals this happen to, in sense of a battle, fucking cool. Like
Yeah.
I was very impressed by that.
I really liked, I cringed with that because I don't like seeing animals
Yeah.
at all, even though that's fake and we know it's fake. But I really liked the beauty and the symbolism in that scene.
Yep.
In that, basically, Dracula has like killed every single man, gotten up to his Elizabeth to try to save her, and there's one last soldier that's like coming to kill her, and as he's doing that, Dracula slings his sword, and it goes and it kills the bad guy that's trying to kill Elizabeth, but it goes through him and it also kills Elizabeth.
So that was the next note that I had, because I couldn't tell. Like, I didn't think
Yeah.
they did a very good job at showing that, if the sword went through both of them, or if the guy stabbed her as he was getting stabbed. Like, that was
From what I saw, it was Dracula's sword that went through both of them.
okay.
So basically, it was as he's trying to save her, he has killed her as
Yeah.
well.
Which then that kind of like, it doesn't really upset me, but it's like what the fuck? Because then the next scene, he goes back to the priest that he was talking to, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? You didn't save her. You didn't But it's funny because she died at his hand,
Right.
And so it's like, hey, dumbass,
That's
you
the
did it
thing that
yourself,
comes back around at the end.
right?
Yeah.
Hey, dumbass, you did it yourself,
Yeah.
like
And I specifically, purposely did not bring this up until we were recording, but in that scene where he's like angry with the priest and he's got him like by the robes or whatever.
Yep.
Did you see that his hat almost caught fire on one of the candles?
No,
Oh, I was like,
was it
I
that
wonder.
big like Legend of the White Dragon looking helmet that he was wearing? Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
it's the priest cap.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant the Dracula's helmet.
No, the priest is wearing like a cap, and Dracula's like holding him up against him. Of like, I told you to because before the battle, he's talking with the priest, and the priest says that he will pray that Elizabeth stays safe, and he's like, I don't want you to pray, I want you to tell him that my wife stays safe.
Yeah.
And so when he comes back, he's pissed off at God and the priest and everything. But anyway, the priest has the big hat on, and he's like pushing him down. And he's like hitting into a candle. I'm wondering if they had to be like, cut, you're on fire.
Yeah. By the way, that was a reference to someday, who knows, the JDF, the Jason David Frank final movie, the Legend of the White Dragon. That helmet that Dracula was wearing looks just like the helmet. Yeah, it's like a dragon helmet. So that's what it looked like. But, well, so the movie progresses. It jumps ahead 400 years, and now, it's kind of like Nosferatu, like where Jonathan comes to the castle, and
he's a solicitor and
Yep.
an attorney.
they're wanting to buy the town's wanting to buy the castle and make it into something or whatever, and what does Dracula do then?
So Dracula has become this like aged monster with and it really had kind of the callback to the previous movies, the way that they had his hair and everything, and he's wrinkled and decrepit, but obviously still very much alive and has mystical powers. And in this scene, I believe, is when we start seeing that he has like gargoyle minions.
Yep.
And that is one of my big gripes of this, is that we don't ever see the creation of the gargoyle minions. They're just there and doing his bidding.
Yeah.
But I also find them to be little cute creatures.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't mind them.
I didn't mind them. I just wanted to know how.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an interesting thing to note about them later, which we'll get to, but it was interesting to see that. So then we also see that vampire biting start to happen around the townsfolk.
Well, so through the progression of the story, you kind of get some flashbacks of the different time periods that Dracula basically is saying that at some point my Elizabeth is going to be reborn, reincarnated. And I am going to stay alive and I am going to find her.
Because this version of Dracula only cares about getting her back.
Yes. Yes. And I even have this in my notes as well. They don't really have Dracula himself as being like a bloodthirsty vengeance warrior that you've seen in other adaptations of Dracula. It's very much like he would have stayed with Elizabeth and just been happy in the bedroom. They came in, they forced, the chain link, not uniform. What am I thinking?
I don't know.
The chain link battle armor, the armor. They forced that on him. They forced him to go fight and everything. So
he literally was just this prince that wanted to be with his princess and nothing else, which
exactly
was an interesting take on the film.
He wasn't sadistic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, so this is where vampire lore gets a little bit gray because
it's like he willed himself to it.
Well, but also he didn't like blood. He did not want to eat blood.
Yes.
He said it toward the end of the movie, but it's important to talk about it in the beginning because he has gone literally 400 years without drinking blood. But the whole thing of this is he basically put the priest up on the altar and said, "Fuck God, I'm staying here." Or like I'm staying here until or whatever, and then the priest cursed him or whatever, and through God or God curses him or however it works. It's a little kind of muddy there, but
yeah,
he basically chooses not. There's a point in the film where he is trying to die. He's literally jumping at like stories, like Gaston level falling out of a castle, killing himself.
Tower.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting up, and he does it probably a good 6 times,
and he'll get hurt, but he won't die.
Right. So this is where like the vampire lore comes in because it's like, what happens if you don't, if a vampire doesn't drink? Well, again, the lore is different in every single like fictional story, but in this one, he just kind of crinkles up, ages. He's got hair that's like white but long, and it's like wrapped up, kind of like what's her name from Star Wars Episode 1 or whatever.
Padme. Yeah.
His hair is kind of like woven like that, and just kind of like a real creature-like person. And so when Jonathan comes to see him, he's a little bit surprised by his appearance.
Well, and they state, he doesn't really bite anyone or do anything with blood until like nearly 300 years later.
Yeah.
Because it was like 1400s, and it wasn't until he was in like Louis' court in France.
Yep.
In like the 1700s. Yep. And he thought that he had seen Elizabeth. And it ended up being the Maria character, which her character was amazing.
She's the standout actress.
She was so good.
Yeah.
And then that's when he was like overwhelmed and overcome with biting her.
Yeah.
And it was basically like a progression of like, he willed it. He like went against God. He willed himself that he was going to stay alive. Then it's like, no, I'm so depressed. I want to die. He can't die. He lives all this time without, at least not shown, drinking of bloodthirst, any of that. And then all of a sudden he does have that, but then he refuses it, and that's when he like ages.
Yep.
So it progresses differently than some of the other Dracula movies I've seen.
It does. And I feel like they had elements, they made it work for their film, but like he didn't have 3 brides. She was the only bride, technically, and not even a bride, because he was obsessed with trying to get
the vampires that he made, including Maria, were all kind of similar minions.
Yep.
Where their task was to search the world for me because I can't do it by myself and find Elizabeth.
Well, yeah, and that it's not that he can't do it by himself as well, but also he doesn't want to. He wants to wait for her. He's waiting in that castle.
Well, he says at one point that he had been traveling and doing.
Oh, good point.
And that's why he was in like the Russian court and the Paris court, and that's when he does the different, like, he mixes like spices and incense and things from India and different places to create his perfume that he can use to control people. Which
took me out of it a little bit, not too much, but it did. It was interesting because I said, it's interesting too that he became, he seemed like he became invincible and had mind control before actually becoming a quote unquote vampire or being able to, knowing that he has to drink blood. I know vampire lore is different in every intellectual property, but it's also different. Also the fragrance that he gives them. Does this give him the ability to control people? Is that what lures them in? Does it even make sense? Because there are points where it seems like he doesn't need it, and there are other points where he does, which I thought was weird.
Well, he's like charismatic in his own way, like Dracula in other movies, but it does give a whole like montage
Yeah,
of how he comes about making this perfume to control people
yeah,
and kind of basically drive people crazy and do his
right.
bidding.
Yep. And then at that party, he's like getting laughed at by a
Mhm.
bunch of women, and that's when he starts just biting people, and then that's when he kind of goes into isolation. But he bites Maria and stuff. But that was a really rough transition because she looked the same. But then, before that, we skipped over a part where I want to talk about, but you get to the priest, which I'm just going to call him Van Helsing. You might as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
The Van Helsing and all these other people, like there's like two, and what's his name, Dumont. Those guys, they are kind of investigating Maria, and they've got her kind of locked in a room and in chains and such. And it's interesting because when he held the cross to her,
Mhm.
she didn't catch on fire. The cross did.
Mhm.
It's usually the vampire that catches on fire. I've never really seen
Or
it.
hisses and
Yeah, and it's like runs
coils.
away or whatever. But it was interesting that the cross caught on fire, not her. It was also interesting, that they were treating it more. They said that the vampire curse was from God, but then it's also interesting because they're investigating it like it's a criminal science investigation.
Yeah, he was looking and saw like her bite on her neck.
Yep.
And he was saying, oh, you weren't like born into this. You were like a second generation creation. He also says something along the lines of them being able, similar to like an angel,
Yep.
where you can be in a room with the window open, but you can't be like in direct sunlight.
Yep.
And shows that she can burn with that. Um, the other thing is he, Van Helsing, basically is saying like, I've encountered all of these throughout the years. And I thought it was interesting because they found out Maria's birthday and knew that she would be like well over 100 years old.
Yep.
But the reason why she was at the institution was at her like wedding to a human. The priest showed up and she like lost her mind. And it's like, well, if you thought that she was truly like 100 years old, and she's just like getting married, but she looks like she's 20, like you shouldn't this have added up way before Van Helsing showed up.
Right.
But
The other thing that was kind of weird for me was like location wise because, okay, he's been trying to find, Mina essentially, but she's like what, 25, 30 ish. Jonathan's there. He's obviously an established like guy for like the taxes or whatever the hell he's trying to do. He's searched the world over and over for her, but she's right there.
yeah, it's not far, it seems at all.
Kind of seems like it didn't look very hard, Like,
Yeah. Especially, not to jump too far, but to prove that at the end when they're kind of like hunting down, like kill the beast, like in Beauty and the Beast, it's like they're in town and then they're immediately at his doorstep within like the hour.
right.
And it's not even like that they seem to progress in time. It's like they just get on horseback and let's get over there.
Yep.
But
Yeah. So, it gets to a point, and you might need to help me with this part, because I might have been taking notes or something, but, it gets to a point where he does find her. Do you remember how he finds her?
yes, so he is about to eat Jonathan.
That's right.
Um,
Oh, yes, that's right.
he's got him tied up.
He has already
And
told him his backstory.
and Jonathan is like, I don't know. It just might be a survival thing of he's like, tell me your story. How did you get to be like this? And that's how he reiterates, about the perfume and all that. And Jonathan is like, well, you're a romantic, you're a lover, and he's like, if you kill me, I have a woman that I'm engaged to and that I love, and you're just making another sad story. And he tells him her name's Mina and all of this. And, it seems like at first Dracula doesn't believe him. And so he's like, well, I've got a picture of her in the locket around my neck.
Yeah.
And Dracula opens it up and what do you know? Mina is Elizabeth.
Yep.
And so that is how he discovers that where she is. And when he shows up, he then finds that Maria has also found her.
Yep.
Because Maria is Mina's basically like best friend.
And at this point, Dracula's kind of back to look like Dracula. He basically invades a nunnery.
Yes,
and
he has to like consume copious amounts of blood, so
Yep.
he uses the perfume.
kills a bunch of nuns.
It's an interesting, to me, I was seeing those nuns as being like the contemporary dance and like Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
It was kind of an odd, again, like that takes you out of a little bit.
Yeah.
It's cinematic, it's symbolic, absolutely. It's beautiful, absolutely. But I'm like, well, it's kind of like contemporary dancing up to Dracula. But so now he basically looks like he did before, but with way darker hair.
Yeah.
And he basically wines and dines her. I mean,
Yep.
they
Takes her to a fair.
yeah, they're like all three of them are in like a fair and just having a good time. And
Which was interesting. I thought it was interesting because there's a point where it's almost like there's like a circus point of the fair where there's like a bunch of freaks and like, not normal. And then the one, they had the giant fish tank with a mermaid in it, a siren.
yeah, the
And I
siren.
thought that was
Cool.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That was a good touch.
And those were super popular during like the 1880s, like where this is set, where the bearded lady and the conjoined twins and things like that. That's Barnum and Bailey is when that's all started and everything. So that was cool to see. Basically, long story, it progresses. It's a whole montage again, and eventually Dracula ends up in the bedroom alone with Mina and trying to explain. Shows her like the music box,
Yeah.
and at first, of course, she's like, "No, I'm engaged to Jonathan." Like, no.
Well, but she also tells another woman there, she's like, I don't feel like I'm from this century.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm from the past.
yeah,
Which I felt like was a little too on the nose. Like,
yeah.
it's almost like, that was almost like some Disney level setup to where it's like, I want to be, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you find out that like Mina doesn't have any other family, and honestly, it seems like she's kind of lukewarm about Jonathan, even though she is like I have a fiance. But it's like in other Dracula movies, you would see him like putting the whammies on her or something, like mind control. And in this, it seems like he's just like, here's what I think. I think you're my Elizabeth. I love you. I want you to come be with me. I got money. We'll be good.
Yeah.
And she kind of comes to the conclusion herself that this is who she wants to be with, and she willingly goes with him. He doesn't kidnap her. He doesn't force her. He doesn't mind control her. In fact, he takes the perfume and throws it into the fire and destroys it because he doesn't want to control her.
Right. And I noted on her point of it, I said it's also weird that in most Dracula movies, the women he's after, they usually resist more.
Exactly.
Mina in the story, it's like she is embracing him almost.
It's like she's a little scared, but also intrigued.
She also remembered her past life way quicker.
Yeah.
When he just started, he's like, "Oh, it's me." And then she even said before that she, like I said, she felt like she didn't belong in the century. So she already kind of knew before he showed her anyway.
Yeah.
So
The first act and the buildup and the history of it seems to take longer than the second act of like finding her. And then the third act was super quick of like, yep, okay, I guess I'm Elizabeth.
yeah,
And yeah, sure, I'll go back to the castle with you. And she gets to meet the gargoyle minions and it doesn't affect her. And she's perfectly content. But of course, Van Helsing and his crew, time to kill the beast.
Yep.
And they come storming his castle.
Yep. One thing before we get into that, I really just wanted to highlight again, Matilda de Angelis, Maria. She again was, like I said, she was a standout actress for me in this film.
Really unhinged, but in a beautiful way.
Yeah, she was manipulative. I wrote down she's manipulative and funny and creepy all at once. I'm kind of glad she was the only bride that Dracula had because I feel like two more would have really taken away from her greatness. So
Yeah.
you either instead of having three kind of Gaston's chicks, if you will, and type thing. They gave more into one person and actually gave her personality.
Yeah.
It made her funny, made her sexy, it made her, all these things that you would probably take away from if you had three.
And I think it also it helps with the romance that that Dracula has for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't this, I'm going to make a harem.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have servants. It was very much go find the woman that I love and the only woman I want. And they never show him be sexual or have any interest in other women. He'll bite their neck to use them
Yeah.
as a minion, but not in a sexual way, not in a gratification of himself way.
Right.
Which is different than what you've seen, like you said, in other renditions where he has 3 brides and they seem to be like truly brides. And I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I liked that it was more of a genuine gothic romance.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to kind of the end, and it's like she said, it's them attacking the castle. They kind of figure out, oh shit, it's Dracula. Oh shit, he's got Mina. We gotta go save her. Gotta go kill him. So they get like the townsfolk, and they start bombing his castle with
The
cannons, and they start kind of shooting with pistols and shit. And
he has her stay in the bedroom.
Yep.
And he thinks that she's going to be safe there. While once again, he's kind of forced to fight.
Yep.
Because they're attacking him, but keeping her locked up because I think he locks the door.
Yeah.
The cannons are coming through, and so she's just as unsafe as she would be if she was down fighting next to him.
Yep. But there comes this interesting, kind of climactic meeting between the priest and Dracula, and they're kind of throwing semantics back and forth at each other, and the priest, they both have like a very interesting view on God.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula says he fought and killed in God's name, whereas the priest says men fight for themselves, not God.
God wouldn't call you to draw blood in my name.
Right. Dracula also says that Mina is his salvation, while the priest says he is her damnation.
I have that quoted as well. I did get chills with that.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely a callback to that original How She Died.
Yep.
And in that moment, he's fighting downstairs for them to be together, but while he's doing that, she's actively getting hurt upstairs, locked in the bedroom.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me, we've been, like we've said on there, we've kind of been going through each other's shows. She's going through Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. I'm going through Outlander and Bridgerton, obviously both doing it together. But it goes, literally the most recent episode we watched of Angel was season 2, episode 7, Darla, and you're kind of seeing the origins of both Spike, Drusilla, Angel, and Darla, and the Master, the Order of Aurelius and everything. And it gets to the end of the episode, and it's in current time, and Angel and Darla is a human at this point. They bring her back, the evil law firm, and she says to him, like, I did this for you, I loved you, this and that. And Angel looks at her and says, you think you did me a favor? You damned me. I have this human soul with being a vampire, but I can't be a Christian. I can't go to heaven. I can't do these things. I'm literally stuck. I'm damned to this earth to walk it until I'm able to get this, to fulfill the Shanshu prophecy and become human and have another chance at redemption. But yeah. So, I mean, it kind of felt a little bit like that when they were talking about it. So
I did make note, though. I was like, if they would just be left alone, if they, at the beginning, if he wasn't called to the battle to fight in God's name, quote unquote, they would have been happy and left alone.
Yeah.
In this situation, she chose. She wasn't kidnapped. She chose to go with him.
Yeah.
If they would have just let him be in the castle with her, he wasn't actively going out and killing things. He was living off of rat's blood and things like that.
Yeah.
They could have been happy if the world would have just left them alone.
Yeah.
But I think that in that moment when she's my salvation, well, then that makes you her damnation. I think that the realization came to Dracula then that even if we had time together, she is still human.
Yeah.
I am not. Eventually she's going to die. I'm eventually going to be left alone again. Or they're never going to stop coming for us anyway.
Yeah.
So I have to relinquish this and let her live her human life.
Right. Hey, babe, you're my frustration.
You're my damnation, that's for sure.
I said frustration. I thought that was funny. It was a joke.
Yeah, my frustration and my damnation.
All right.
D all of the above.
Right. So, it basically ends with Peter Cushing. I see how I mistake him for Van Helsing. What I was going to say was the priest, they make him look very reminiscent of Peter Cushing, Van Helsing from the Hammer Dracula films. He's got kind of the lower centered top hat. He doesn't have the fur coat, but he does have like a coat. But the biggest thing is he's got
And a cape.
this badass stake. It's like crystal silver looking. It
Yeah.
looks fucking dope. But he's also got the hammer, and so then he takes the stake, takes the hammer. That's
And Dracula doesn't fight him.
nope, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to be in love, and basically Peter. I keep saying it. Basically, the priest says, if you let me kill you, it unwinds everybody that you've bitten and done this to.
Yeah.
This is your chance at actual salvation. And then he goes through with it, and then he turns the dust in the bed, and Mina is left there with Jonathan, basically looking up at him and says, I guess you're the number 2, and I'll go for it.
Well, it's also a callback.
That's how I felt.
It's also a callback because earlier in the movie, Dracula eventually, like, what is it called? When he opens up the tomb of Elizabeth, and finds that there's not even bones for him to hold. She's complete ash.
Yeah.
And so then at the end, when he becomes ash, Mina's left with him. It's another callback to it. Yeah. And I think that's also why this is called Dracula, a love tale.
Yeah. And that's it. Not to interrupt you, but the posters, all the advertisements, they literally just say Dracula. But then in the credits, it says Dracula, a love tale.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did with It. You did not know that it was chapter 1 when you first were going into it.
Yeah.
But then when the credits rolled, it said It, and then chapter 1. And it's like, oh shit, there's going to be a second one.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see the adults at that point. So I do kind of like it when movies do that. It's kind of a nice little, hey, we gotcha, type of thing. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, it is very much horror, but it is also very much romance.
Yep. And the two can be in, I mean, a lot of people like to talk shit about horror comedies, and it's okay for genres to cross over.
Absolutely.
And,
I think some of the best movies are ones that cross over and don't stay in that lane.
Yeah. One final note here that I wrote down with here, and then we'll get into the interesting things to note. While this movie was interesting, it still, to me, was not a definitive Dracula. I don't even know who my definitive Dracula is. I guess it's Bela Lugosi because, I love the Universal monsters. I'm a big Invisible Man fan. I'm a big, huge Creature from the Black Lagoon fan. But, it just, for me, there hasn't really been a great Dracula. I mean, I love Rudolph Martin's Dracula from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who then later on got to go on to do a Dracula the Dark Prince, which was like based on the true story of Dracula. So he got to play the role twice, which I thought was great. But there still hasn't been someone who I'm like, that's my Dracula, kind of like, but like with the Gilman, I'm like, Rico Browning was it for me. I got to know him a little bit, so it's like that was more of a definitive for me. But for I don't know, it just there hasn't really been that great of a. And I know that it's almost blasphemous to say anybody else but Bela Lugosi could be, But our good friend Mike Perez said that the Dracula Untold with Luke Evans is great, so we might have to check that out. I've never seen it, so. But I also feel like that's been the problem with Dracula. There's been too many adaptations of him. When I joked when we first started this episode, and it's like, hey, the 892nd film about Dracula's out. There's just been so many. I know that there's been a few that have come out in the same year. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I am really interested because I should find it on my Kindle or on Audible and actually go back to the original Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
Stoker.
Yeah.
I think I added an R in there to see how it originated because there are these adaptations. When did it get added in, or maybe it's in the book that he can become a bat, and
or a wolf.
Yeah, or a wolf and things like that. So yeah, I liked this. I liked that it was more of a humanized Dracula versus yes, he could control people with the perfume.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously he escaped death by willing to do so there.
Yeah.
But I liked that it was kind of a more humanized versus this supernatural
Right.
abilities. I don't think he flew. But
I don't think so.
no, but he did kind of like manifest into her room. But he could have, I mean, he could have just climbed up, I guess.
Or been a bat.
Or he could have been a bat. They didn't show that. Yeah.
I also feel like there hasn't really been a Dracula worthy enough to be in a nowadays Universal Monsters picture. We've got, I mean, I hate to say it, because he's older now, but we've got our Imhotep from the Brendan Fraser, mummy, if he even comes back.
Well, and there's the new mummy that's coming out.
I know that, and that's the problem, man. Like, these guys are all on the free domain or the open domain or open whatever it is, and different companies are making different Universal Monsters. I always just call them that, but there's 2 Frankensteins out within less than a year. There's going to be 2 mummies out in a year, and it's like, which one is which? Like, which one goes together? You know what I mean? And where I said that Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein would go great with, the Imhotep from the Brendan Fraser mummy and maybe the Invisible Man from 2020. I don't see this version of Dracula going with them. I mean, yeah, he died at the end anyway, but this one definitely wouldn't be a Universal Monster team up Dracula.
I just would really love to see a modern day Abbott and Costello.
Oh, sure.
Truly. Like, meet the Hold That Ghost, meet Frankenstein, meet the Invisible Man, meet Mummy. Those were all amazingly done. Granted, they were, nearly 100 years old now, the 1930s and things like that.
Yeah.
But I wish that we could have some kind of like comedy, scary, like what Abbott and Costello did with these Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
And have a crossover of that kind of quality or that kind of feeling, but in today's quality.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are going to get into our interesting things of note. Actually, with this one, I'm just going to read through them quick because there's stuff we've already talked about. So this one has a romantic focus. Instead of focusing on the quote-unquote horror, this version highlights Vlad as a tragic figure driven by grief and longing for his reincarnated beloved Elizabeth. Unique interpretation. This film is described as a melancholy romance rather than a traditional blood-soaked horror. Slower, more deliberate pace than Besson's typical action-heavy style. I will agree. While I feel the pacing was healthy, it was still very deliberately slow, but it worked for it. You know me, I'm big on the pacing, so
it's over 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours and 9 minutes.
And usually by then I'm like, come on, get to it. I'm ready to be out of here.
Yeah.
But I found myself going, oh, we're already killing him. Okay.
They didn't have 5 endings like some movies have, or some shows have, So,
yeah.
The visual style. Visual style production features lush, atmospheric, and paint-like cinematography, emphasizing dark castles and candlelit scenes. Now, this actually, apparently, it's getting review bombed. And we didn't talk about this. The Gargoyles. Getting reviews as these guards for Dracula are campy elements that contrast with a romantic tone, sometimes resembling a 90s style adaptation. I didn't mind it. But one thing we didn't talk about is at the end, the gargoyles turned back into kids.
Yeah.
That took me out of it too.
Yeah. And they were all bald.
Yeah.
They were all bald.
They look, I mean, I hate to say this.
All very skinny.
Yeah, they look like cancer patients.
Emaciated.
Yeah.
What's the...
I'm not sure.
When you're starved basically to death. There's a term, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was weird because, again, there wasn't kids to begin with like that bulk, it was just weird. I would have rather seen them turn to dust with him.
I still think that there's some kind of deleted scene or something that needs to show how he made the gargoyles, and that would help connect that better.
Yeah.
Because then we would understand why they're bald, sickly, starved children.
Right.
Or little boys at the end.
This one is heavily influenced or acts as a remake of, like we talked about, Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let's check that out.
We do.
And then, so the last bit of note here is about the perfume. So I think this might have been unique to the film. I don't know. The way that this is saying it is it could be, but it says instead of just relying on hypnotic stares, which Bela Lugosi, but also Bela Lugosi's like,
yeah,
real
Doesn't
creepy.
he go like this too? Like,
I think. This Dracula invents a special perfume as to show more of a European royal class is what they wanted to highlight in that. So
Yeah.
that was interesting. Katie, what is your favorite scene of this movie?
I think that my favorite scene, I would say my favorite scene and my favorite kill is the original Elizabeth death.
Okay.
With the bear traps and he throws the sword and everything. You realize it in the moment when you're seeing it for the first time that, oh, his actions caused her death, but then for it to loop back at the end with, you're her damnation. I thought that was beautifully done. What about yours?
My favorite scene is the battle at the beginning. Everything about it was amazing. It was as sad as it was to see the horses get hit by the bear traps. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So this movie is still very new, so we were not able to find a death count, but I know at least like 5 or 6 die.
Well, and I feel like, again, what we talked about a couple episodes ago is like what's off screen and what's on screen. Like the battle, who knows how much, in the battle scene, but
Yep.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite death that you can maybe pull out?
I did.
Which one?
The Elizabeth.
Okay, you did, yep. And yeah, I guess I'll go with I'm gonna go with Maria because she was going crazy in that scene and they just chop her head off and it was really funny.
I did laugh at that because he got hit by her severed head.
Yep. Yep.
I'm sane.
Yeah. All right, so now we are going to get into our grading system. So we have 3 different ways we grade films. Just because we kind of want to be a part of every conversation, and kind of grade, because I know a lot of you out there, you might grade things differently. You might say, hey, what do you give this for a letter grade? Or, what do you give it out of a 1 through 10? 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. How many stars would you give this out of 5? And so we heard a couple Slayers together. I want to do all of it. So I'll go first on this one. So for this movie, honestly, I gave this a B minus. I feel like B minus was fair. As much as this movie was a little bit melancholy, like they said, I still thought it was a good romance. I still enjoyed it, and I felt like a B minus was a fair grade. What did you give it?
I gave it an A.
Okay.
I gave it an A. I was pleasantly surprised. I think that a pattern in my life is if I go in with high expectations for a movie, I'm usually let down.
Mm-hmm.
With this, I was like, it's a Dracula movie, whatever. I liked the changes that they made. The only thing I would really gripe about is the gargoyle side of things.
Which is funny because that's one of the only parts that that was one of the things that I liked.
Yeah,
I thought they were cool.
I liked them. I just wanted to know how he went about it. They showed how he did the perfume. They showed how he made his like minions. They showed all the other whys, but these creatures just show up and are taking care of the house or tying people up or whatever. I just wish that we had their origin a little bit better.
Yeah.
What did you give it for your number?
I gave this a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 9.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I went a little lower just because, again, this was just okay for me. Like, it was good, but
it's just not your genre, your style.
Well, it is because I like Universal Monsters, but it's I don't know. I wanted a little bit more of the vampire side.
Your favorite Universal Monsters Creature from the Black Lagoon, and that's a very different style than what Dracula would be. Yeah.
What did you give this for a star rating? Okay?
So I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it very enjoyable. I compared this to the Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed this better than the Nosferatu.
Yeah, me too.
The pacing was a lot better. I was able to focus more on it. And yes, there was aesthetically pleasing sets to this, like in Nosferatu, but it didn't lose the progression of the story like I felt like Nosferatu did.
Yeah.
What about your stars?
I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it's still all right, but like I said, this is like the 800th Dracula movie. There's just so many, we've got Nosferatu 2, which is supposed to be like the Walmart brand version of Dracula, very much the same. Yeah. Sorry to my friend Bethany, I don't even know if you listened, but I know you love Nosferatu, but yeah.
And that was beautifully done, but it was an aesthetic movie. It wasn't heavy on the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like Skarsgård, his voice was very weird. Like what? Yeah. So I thought that was a choice. I felt. Okay, so we do have another rating system that we like to go through, and that is our replay value.
By far, I think the most important of all of our grades.
Yeah. So basically, it's, was this a one watcher? Did you think it was amazing, but it was a one watcher? Or did you, was it not necessarily critically acclaimed? And, but you like to watch it when you are, cleaning the house or just laying around on a Sunday lounging, it's just that comfort movie. Maybe you've been dumped. We got Valentine's Day coming up and you just need that movie to feel good, or you're kind of driving in the car and you need something to listen to even.
You didn't love me like Dracula loves me.
Well, like you can put on like When Harry Met Sally, and it's like, I'll find my real love one day, or something, something to where it's just like it's a replay. You want to watch it over and over again just because it meant something to you. Good example for me is the movie Stream. Now, I didn't necessarily think that was the best movie, but I enjoyed it. I had a fun time, and it's one where I can literally throw it on, and if I'm just needing something in the background when I'm working, that's a fun one for me to watch. So Katie, what do you give this for a replay value ranking?
I put that it was likely.
Okay.
It's definitely not one that I would watch repeatedly per se, but I would give this at least one other rewatch, if not more, throughout the years. Honestly, it's one of those, like, if I was kind of in the mood to see a Dracula Gothic movie, I would, like I said, I would choose this over like the Nosferatu.
Mm.
What about you?
To be honest, I said I wouldn't probably watch this again. I said never watch this again. Simply because, it was good. It was a one watcher, but I'll remember it as that. And again, as much as I'm not much of a Dracula fan, I still will pop on the Bela Lugosi ones, or, like, House of Dracula or something, like something old. If I'm going to watch Dracula, I like it older, or, I'll give like some of the other ones a try, or I'll watch Dracula, the Dark Prince or something like that. So.
All right. So that wraps up Dracula, A Love Tale 2026. You can check out our socials here.
And yeah, we're on, we're Facebook, we primarily pretty much just use Facebook, Instagram, and then
I'm on TikTok.
She's on TikTok, and then we're on YouTube, and
we're now on Epic Social.
Yep. So we got Epic Social, but we're also if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us, if you're listening to us on the podcast feeds, thanks so much for listening to us. You guys have been great. Really appreciate it.
Like, comment, subscribe. Share out our name. That helps us grow our community, and it costs you $0.
Yep. And finally, you can always send us an email, thecouplethatslays@gmail.com. Give us write us, just let us know how we're doing. Like, tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like about the show. If you got something you want us to unbox, you got something you want us to review, you want to come on and talk to us for a little bit. Yep. That'd be fun too. We'd love
to hear from you.
Yeah, we'd love to have more interaction. So
absolutely.
And yeah, like Katie said, that wraps up the episode for Dracula 2026. And my name is Brandon.
I'm Katie. And until next time, go enjoy your horror.
Love bites.
We're the couple that slays together.